My name is Olivia, and this is my story of daily struggle. Life can be hard sometimes, but I keep trying. Every day feels like a new challenge, but I remind myself to stay strong. I wake up early in the morning, hoping that today will be better than yesterday. I know I have to fight through the hard times to find peace. Sometimes I feel so tired and I don't want to get out of bed. I think about all the things I need to do. School, work, family, it all feels like too much. But then, I remember a simple rule: take things one step at a time. This small thought gives me the energy to start my day. Once, I remember talking to my friend Amelia. She told me that life can be like a mountain. Some days you climb and it's easy. Other days, every step feels heavy, like your feet are stuck in mud. But she said, keep climbing, because the view from the top will be worth it. Her words gave me hope. I still think about them when life feels difficult. There are times when I feel like crying, like the time I couldn't finish my homework. The teacher, Mrs. Thomas, asked me why. I couldn't find the words to explain that my family needed me that night. My little brother Michael was sick, and I had to take care of him. I wanted to tell her, but I felt too shy, too scared. She just gave me a disappointed look, and I felt so small. Learning English has been another struggle for me. I remember when I couldn't understand what the teacher was saying in class. I sat there, feeling lost and embarrassed. I saw other students, like John and Ava, who seemed to understand everything. They answered questions, and I stayed silent, hoping no one would notice me. But English became my friend over time. Little by little, I learned that each new word was like a key to understanding, to talking with people, to finding my place in the world. I used to practice English every day after school. I would sit with a dictionary, looking up words I didn't know. My mom, Charlotte, would sit beside me. She didn't speak much English, but she would smile and say, "You can do it, Olivia. I believe in you." Her words made me feel strong, even on the days I felt like giving up. Sometimes, I would get frustrated when I couldn't pronounce a word right. I remember trying to say elephant once, but it came out all wrong. I was so embarrassed that I wanted to hide. But my dad, James, laughed and said, "It's okay, even elephants make mistakes." One day, I was in class, and my teacher, Mr. Robert, gave us a writing assignment. I felt nervous. Writing in English was still new to me, and I worried about making mistakes. But as I sat there, pen in hand, I remembered something my brother, Daniel, once said: "You don't have to be perfect. Just try those words echoed in my mind, and I started to write. I wrote about my family, about my friends, and about my dreams. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. When Mr. Robert handed back the papers, I was shocked. There was a big red A at the top. I couldn't believe it. I felt so proud of myself, like I had finally climbed that mountain Amelia had talked about. Life isn't always easy, though. There are days when I feel like giving up. I remember a day when everything seemed to go wrong. I was late for school. I forgot my homework, and then, during lunch, I spilled my drink all over my clothes. I wanted to disappear. I hid in the bathroom and cried. But then I heard a voice from outside. It was Sophia, one of my classmates. She knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Olivia, it's okay." We all have bad days. Her kindness made me feel a little better. It reminded me that even on the hardest days, there's always someone who cares. I've learned that struggles are a part of life. Everyone has them, even if they don't always show it. My friend William told me once about his struggle with math. He said it felt like no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't get it. I understood that feeling all too well. We sat together in the library one afternoon, helping each other with our studies. I helped him with English, and he helped me with math. It was a small moment, but it made a big difference. Sometimes I think about the future. I wonder what life will be like when I'm older. Will I still struggle like I do now? Will things get easier? I don't know the answers to these questions, but I know one thing: I will keep trying. I will keep learning, and I will keep growing. Life is a journey, and every step, no matter how hard, brings me closer to my dreams. When I was younger, I used to watch my father, David, as he worked. He always looked so tired, but he never complained. One day, I asked him why he worked so hard. He smiled and said, "Because I want a better life for you." Olivia, his words stuck with me. Now, whenever I feel like giving up, I think of my father's strength and his love for our family. Learning English has helped me in many ways. It has opened doors for me that I never thought possible. I can talk to more people, read more books, and express myself in ways I couldn't before. But most importantly, it has given me confidence. Confidence to stand up, to speak, and to be heard. I remember when I first moved to the United States. Everything was so new, and I felt so out of place. I couldn't understand the signs, the people, or even the TV shows. But slowly, day by day, I started to learn. I would watch shows with subtitles, repeating the words until they sounded right. My favorite show was about a family just like mine. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that it's okay to ask for help. There were many times when I felt too proud to admit that I didn't understand something. But I've learned that asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. My friend George helped me realize this. He was always there when I needed help with my homework, and he never made me feel bad for asking. Another important thing I've learned is to be kind to myself. There are days when I make mistakes, and that's okay. No one is perfect. My friend Arthur once told me, "Olivia, you are too hard on yourself. You're doing your best." And that's enough. His words were a comfort to me, and I try to remember them whenever I feel down. Learning English has been a long journey, but it has been worth every struggle. I still remember the first time I had a full conversation with someone in English. It was with a girl named Mia. We talked about our favorite books and our dreams for the future. I felt so proud of myself in that moment. It was like a door had opened, and I could finally see all the possibilities ahead of me. There are many tips I've picked up along the way that have helped me in my daily struggles. Here are a few. Take things one step at a time. It's okay to make mistakes. Ask for help when you need it. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories. Surround yourself with supportive people. Practice a little every day. Don't compare yourself to others. Focus on progress, not perfection. Use English in your daily life as much as possible. Find a study buddy. Break big tasks into smaller ones. Stay positive, even on hard days. Write down new words you learn. Set small, achievable goals. Learn from your mistakes. Take breaks when you need them. Reward yourself for your hard work. Listen to English music or podcasts. Watch English TV shows with subtitles. Keep a journal in English. Practice speaking in front of a mirror. Don't be afraid to speak up, even if you make mistakes. Be kind to yourself when you're feeling down. Stay consistent in your practice. Find ways to make learning fun. Read books that interest you. Surround yourself with English as much as you can. Remember why you started. Never give up, no matter how hard it gets. As I continue my journey, I realize that the struggle is not something to be afraid of. It's a part of life, and it's what makes us stronger. Every challenge I face teaches me something new. Every tear I cry makes me a little braver. And every small victory I achieve brings me closer to my dreams. This is not the end of my story, though. There are still many struggles ahead, many mountains to climb. But I will keep going. I will keep learning, growing, and becoming the best version of myself. Every day, I remind myself that life is a journey, and every step, no matter how small, brings me closer to my dreams. Some days, I feel like giving up. The weight of my struggles pulls me down, and I wonder if it's all worth it. But then, I think about everything I've already overcome. I think about the little victories, like the first time I spoke in front of the class without freezing, or the time I helped my brother Frank with his English homework. There was one particular day that sticks with me. It was a rainy Monday, and everything seemed to go wrong. I missed the bus to school, and when I finally arrived, soaking wet, I realized I had forgotten my homework on the kitchen table. My teacher, Mr. Charles, gave me a stern look, and I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. During lunch, I sat alone, feeling like a failure. I thought about how hard I had worked the night before on that homework, staying up late to finish it. It didn't seem fair. But then, Amelia came over and sat beside me. She didn't say anything at first, just handed me a napkin to wipe my tears. Finally, she said, "It's just one day, Olivia. Tomorrow will be better." Her simple words gave me comfort, and I realized that bad days don't last forever. That's something I've had to remind myself of often. Some days are hard, but tomorrow is always a new chance to start again. At home, things are not always easy either. My parents, James and Charlotte, work long hours to support our family, and sometimes I feel guilty for needing their help. I try to be independent, but there are moments when I need them. I remember one night, after a particularly tough day, I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. I went to my dad and told him about all the things that were bothering me: school, friends, English, everything. He listened quietly, and when I finished, he said, "Olivia, you don't have to carry all of this alone. We're here for you." Those words stayed with me. They reminded me that it's okay to lean on the people who care about you. I've always tried to be strong, but strength doesn't mean doing everything on your own. Sometimes, real strength comes from knowing when to ask for help. As I continued to work on my English, I found that it became easier. The words I struggled with before didn't seem so impossible anymore. I started to enjoy reading, especially books in English. I would spend hours in the library, losing myself in stories. One book, in particular, caught my attention. It was about a girl who had to leave her home and move to a new country, just like I did. Her struggles felt so familiar to me, and I found comfort in knowing that I wasn't the only one who felt lost at times. One day, during class, Mrs. Amelia asked me to read aloud from a book. I felt nervous, but I took a deep breath and started reading. To my surprise, the words came easily. When I finished, she smiled and said, Well done, Olivia. It was a small moment, but it meant the world to me. For the first time, I felt like I was really making progress. Even though I've come a long way, I still have moments of doubt. There are times when I feel like I'm not good enough, when the weight of my struggles feels too heavy to bear. But I've learned to push through those moments. I remind myself that every struggle is a chance to grow, to learn something new about myself. I've also learned the importance of being kind to others. My struggles have taught me that everyone is going through something, even if they don't show it. Once I saw a classmate, Benjamin, sitting alone at lunch. He looked upset, and I remembered how I had felt on those lonely days when everything seemed to go wrong. So, I went over and sat with him. We didn't talk much, but just sitting together made a difference. Sometimes, just being there for someone is enough. There's a quote I read once that I keep in my journal: "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice." It reminds me that strength doesn't always come easily. It's something we build, little by little, through our struggles. My friend Sophia once told me that learning English was like learning to dance. At first, you trip over your feet, you make mistakes, and it feels awkward. But the more you practice, the more graceful you become. Her words made me laugh at the time, but they were true. I've tripped over my words many times, but now I'm starting to find my rhythm. I remember a time when I was too shy to speak up in class. I was afraid of making mistakes, of saying the wrong thing. But now, I try to remind myself that mistakes are just part of the learning process. No one learns without making a few mistakes along the way. Once, in a group discussion, I shared my opinion on a book we were reading. I stumbled over a few words, but instead of feeling embarrassed, I felt proud. Proud that I had spoken up. Proud that I was no longer afraid to be heard. There are still many things I'm working on. I'm still learning, still growing. But I've come to realize that it's okay to not have everything figured out. Life is full of ups and downs, and that's what makes it interesting. My friend Paul once told me, "Olivia, life is like a roller coaster. It has its ups and downs, but it's your choice whether you scream or enjoy the ride." His words stayed with me. And now, whenever life feels overwhelming, I try to remember to enjoy the ride. Learning English has been one of the biggest challenges of my life, but it's also been one of the most rewarding. It has opened doors for me, helped me make new friends, and given me confidence in ways I never imagined. I know that I still have a long way to go, but I'm excited for the journey ahead. There are days when I still feel like that little girl who didn't understand anything, who felt lost in a sea of unfamiliar words. But then, I think about how far I've come, about all the challenges I've faced and overcome. and I remind myself that I am capable of more than I ever thought possible. I look forward to the future with hope. There will be more struggles, more challenges, but I know now that I can handle them. I will continue to learn, to grow, and to find strength in my struggles. And I hope that, one day, I can help others who are going through the same things I've been through. Would you like to hear more about my journey